Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Dos Leprechauns podcast. Obviously, pretty somber day today with the passing of the legendary Lou Holtz, Coach Holtz. So many memories from so many people coming in. We just felt like we wanted to come on here and kind of talk a little bit about the man, the myth, the legend, Lou Holtz, what he meant to maybe some of you individually, what he meant to the university, and what he meant to college football. I think you've probably seen a lot of people from all over college football universe and talking about Lou and everything that he did for college football, for Notre Dame, for South Carolina, Arkansas, William and Mary, all the places he coached, Minnesota. Um, but obviously, I think everybody remembers him mostly for his time with our Irish, winning the national championship in 1988. And in 1993, we're claiming it because head-to-head matters. That's just the way it goes now, apparently, right? Anyway, that's all we're going to talk about today is Lou. If you guys have a Lou story and you want to jump on, we'd love to have you on. Obviously, I'm solo tonight. The other part of the Dos Leprechauns equation here, Nate, is at work. So I'm running this thing solo. Just kind of, wanted to talk a little bit about the man, the myth, the legend, Lou. I'm still a little bit choked. I mean, I don't know if choked up's the word, because let's be real. 89 years old. He lived an amazing life. He's reunited with his Beth now. And so, if we could all go the way he did, live in your own bed, surrounded by people that love you, then I think that we'd all be pretty happy about that. So, got Irish JTL on. What's going on, brother? I mean, it's a somber day, but again, it's 89 years old. The man was just did everything on his terms all the way to the end. Sounded like he fought very hard even after being in hospice, which is not surprising at all. Everybody that had a hand in, hopefully giving him a memorable and wonderful last few days on this earth, deserve a lot of credit, because it is the hardest thing in the world to lose somebody and to sit there and watch them, go to the other side and go to heaven and be reunited with the loved ones, with his Beth, who was left us about 10 years prior. Skip Holtz, who obviously a lot of you know, he played for his dad. He was a head coach at South Florida when they came in, and that whole thing happened there a few years ago. But it sounded like Skip was really involved in making sure that Lou went out with on his terms with some dignity. And yeah, I mean, it's just a sad day. So I think I would, again, we want to have people come on here. If you'd like to, we can I'm going to drop the link in the comments actually here and pin it. So if you'd like to jump on, you should be able to click on this link, and then I can invite you in. I'd love to have anybody that would like to come in and share a story about Lou, maybe your personal experiences with him, maybe a family member, maybe you were related to a player, or whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you, and tell some stories. I think I'll start with mine. I'm not sure if he's listening. He's in the chat right now, but Billy Hackett, number 18, kicker on the 1988 national championship team. We had become friends over the years, and he invited me to come to the reunion game back in 2018, I think it was, when we played Michigan and smoked them in South Bend. And man, getting to meet a lot of my heroes, Chris Zorich, Pat Eilers, Tony Rice, Lee Becton, you name it. But then the man himself walked in, and I was starstruck like I've never been starstruck in my life. We're inside the Purcell Pavilion, and Lou walks in with an entourage, of course, because he always had an entourage, and he started walking in, and everybody's going right towards him, all of his former players on the '88 team and stuff. And Billy Hackett said, "Hey, come over here, Jay." So kind of went over by Bill Hackett, and we went over and we got closer and closer and closer, and Bill kind of said some words to Coach, and then Coach Holtz kind of looked at me and introduced himself, and I was just thinking to myself, like, "Hey, Coach Holtz, I've been watching you, listening to you, cheering for you for the past 30 years. I know who you are," but I didn't say that. I just was, I kind of had the big eyes, shook his hand, gave him a little bro hug, and then we took a quick picture, and then he was off to take about another 10 million pictures that night. They ended up going to a dinner at a private restaurant near campus, and at some point there was like everybody kind of separated after the dinner, and then I was with Bill and actually John Carney, and Lou. Coach Holtz was walking around and kind of looked like he was looking for something. So I was like, "Hey, Lou, Coach," I said, "Hey, Coach Holtz, you need anything?" He says, "What do I need to do to get some water?" And I was like, "I got you." So I ran faster than I ever ran in my life to the kitchen, asked for water, and I gave him a cup of water. So I contributed to his good night that night, hopefully, because he said thank you. So I'm gonna remember that day and how I felt. That's a core memory for me that I'll never forget. I have that picture in my office. I have the picture here in the man cave, hanging up with a lot of pride. So yeah, just and then when I was 8 years old, my dad took me to a game at USC. It was Notre Dame versus USC when Notre Dame essentially punched their ticket to go to the national championship game, the Fiesta Bowl against West Virginia. And after the game, it was before they had barricades up and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm just walking back to the car, and Lou comes out, and then the entire team kind of behind him, some of the coaching staff. And I'll never forget that Lou kind of pointed to me because I had a white Notre Dame hat on. He said, "Oh, look, we got some fans here." And next thing I know, I got Chris Zorich, who probably doesn't remember the story, and several other guys coming up, high-fiving me, signing my hat. And obviously from there, I was hooked for life. I mean, it's people just don't understand. Like today when the news came out, I was at work, and I was legitimately having a hard time, like not crying and kind of keeping my mind at work. And one of the staff was like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I explained what had happened. And I just don't think people really understand when you watch somebody like Lou Holtz on TV for 30 plus years, or 20 plus years, see him in person, and then they are gone. You just don't, it doesn't hit you until it's actually happened, that you're never going to see that person on the sidelines again. You're never going to hear that person on ESPN again. And they just become a part of your fabric, right? Like all of us Saturday morning or Saturday afternoons are religiously sent by that TV, going crazy for our Irish. And Lou Holtz was responsible for so many good years and 2 national championships that it did hit me pretty hard. So anyways, enough about me. I want to go on to some of the comments here. Ray Hernandez says, "RIP coach." Ed O'Neill says, "Sad. He was a great coach and a good man." Clinton Patrick Chapman said, "Very sad." Amber Sullivan, "RIP Coach Lou, my favorite coach. I'll always remember watching him pick grass on the sidelines." Yeah, there's that epic picture of him picking some grass on the sidelines. It was a pretty cool moment. Charles Raymond Bartlett said, "He was one of the reasons why I started watching Notre Dame football back in '87. Losing Coach Holtz is like losing a family member, because that's what he was, and that's what we are, an Indy family. RIP Coach." That's a great comment, Charles. Thank you for that. I'm going to pin that one. That's fantastic. On YouTube, KC, "That's a winner. I'll always remember 1988. And also Dr. Lou was almost flawless as Indy coach versus FUSC." Yeah, he sure was. He absolutely owned SC. Ryan Bennett, RIP coach. Brian Tomeko said, "I felt the same way. Yeah, he did live on an amazing life. I think the reason why it's such a shock is because we all realized what coach meant to our Irish. I became an Irish fan at 7 years old, so I grew up watching the man kick ass for 10 years. I even cheered for him when he went to South Carolina, just because he got that respect from college football fans for just being a good man, not being a typical football coach." John Kondratek said, "Coach Holtz was a great motivator and coach. No coach since can meet the standard he set." I think we got one guy right now doing a pretty close job, but still a long way to go. I saw him many times at Ken, Ohio. What an amazing person. That's from Jim Bush. We got somebody that jumped on here. We got Ace. Let me see what we got to the stage. How you doing, sir? I think your audio might be off.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So yeah, introduce yourself, where you're from, and give us your story.
I'm Dan Moore. I'm a Notre Dame grad, 1992. And I always liked Mr. Holtz. He was great.
Did you get to interact with him much while you were at Notre Dame?
A little bit. I was at Cavanaugh Hall when it was men's, and we were security, quote unquote, for the pep rally. So he was always right there. I when I came on, I heard somebody talking about when he was in South Carolina. I went to law school in Arkansas, and I went down to War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock when South Carolina was playing Arkansas, and he was there. And I just always got a kick out. I was shocked last year when we played Arkansas. That was the first time we ever played them because Lou was there and then he was in Notre Dame and has never crossed apparently.
Hold on one sec here. We got another gentleman joining us, and it's none other than Sully. Hold on, let's get Sully on here. Sully,
Jason, how are you, brother?
how we doing, buddy?
Excellent, excellent. What a day with Coach Holtz's passing. What a legend. What an honor to have, crossed paths with him. And it's really something. What the gift he gave us and will always be giving us forever. And the chain of command and how that's going to be passed on. The legacy is incredible.
Sully, can you introduce yourself for those of you that don't know the legend himself, Sully?
Yes, my name is Mark O'Sullivan. I'm a Boston native and resident. Always loved Notre Dame growing up. I ended up being lucky enough to attend and graduate in '89. So I was a senior the year the boys won it. I was a freshman December 2nd, '85, when Lou got the job and came on campus. And I had the pleasure of playing hockey at Notre Dame. And Coach Holtz visited, and I'll tell the story about how he visited practice once and talked to the team. And I was fortunate enough to live with a couple of Notre Dame absolute legends. John Foley, who was the top recruit and the Player of the Year USA Today defensively the year after me. So he was a freshman. I was a sophomore. And also someone who was lightly regarded but ended up being all world. And there's a great whole story about him. Stan Smagala, who had 2 pick sixes so far back that they didn't even call them that then, the year they won the whole thing. Mm-hmm. One of them was either Purdue or Pitt, but the other was the legendary one against USC.
Yep.
After the poor QB got spiked into the ground. Rodney Peete got spiked into the ground about 5 yards by Stams on the run back. You know how they look for the QB, and Stan ran it back 63 yards, and absolutely amazing.
Yep.
But I'll tell stories for both Foles and Smagala that are both incredible stories that have been documented in some places, but may not be widely known.
Awesome. We got one other gentleman we want to bring on, our good friend Jason Tiley. He's the tailgate coordinator for our tailgates that's in South Bend when we go out there. So this is Jason Tiley, better known as Irish JTL, on the on the video with us as well. What's up, Jay?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Tough day, but like I said on the show, if we could go out the way that Coach Holtz went out, I think we'd all wish for that, right? 89 years old, sure. Accomplished everything, Hall of Famer on the field and off, passing peacefully in your own bed around your family. I mean, that's the way to go out. That's the way to go out.
That's a charmed life, man. Imagine winning a natty at Notre Dame and living to be 89 years old, married to the same great woman for that long. Like,
oh yeah,
you can't ask for more, right? Like no. He lived it and he loved it and he impacted all of us. I remember one year, these two gentlemen know more than me, but I remember one year with Faust, and then Lou was my childhood coach. I only got to meet him twice, and I've always been I'm not really a picture guy, you know what I mean? Like, if I have my kids with me, I'll hit up Coach Freeman or whoever for a pick, but when I'm alone, I kind of turn into that shy, don't want to be that guy. So no pictures with them, but I did get to chat with them for about 3 minutes one time at a season ticket holders dinner, and what a great guy. What a great guy. And I hear the memorial's already started at the statue at the stadium. So lots of Irish fans mourning and loving and sharing stories tonight.
Reminds me a little bit of when Coach Parsegian passed about a decade ago, and they lit up right away the era symbol up on the Jumbotron or whatever we're calling it, and everybody was down there at the statue laying cards, flowers, candles, etc. So
they have Lou up on the Jumbotron right now.
I saw that. Looks really cool too.
Yeah,
it looks really, really cool. Very classy. I mean, we can talk for days about the best way to honor Coach Holtz, but I think the best way to do it is to go out there and win the friggin' national championship with
Hell
no
yeah.
regard.
Yes,
So,
sir.
and you know for a fact that Freeman and Holtz were, I don't know if they were like best friends, close friends, but I know they definitely respected the hell out of each other. And I think Freeman's the type of guy that's going to look at this as a personal challenge now. And, you know, we already had the leave no doubt. Now I think it's going to be win for Lou. Put Lou on the front of the helmets like we did for Era, and let's get after it, man. So, where's Sully? You still around?
Oh yeah, can you see me?
I can hear you. That's what matters.
Okay,
No, thank God.
Second. I'm sorry.
He's got a face made for radio.
Exactly. We had a radio show back in the day too at WNDU, so we had a lot of fun with that, and had the boys on, and just a lot of laughs and great times. And that's great that you shared that about Coach Parseghian too. Amazing man. Got the pleasure of meeting him out there too. So many legends.
So you got to be out in Southern California with that accent, right?
Wrong coast.
I grew up and still reside in Boston.
I knew exactly where you were from when I heard you
Yeah.
say water earlier.
About 10 minutes from Fenway Park in the Boston Garden. So life is good out here in God's country. We got St. Patrick's Day coming up in about 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yep.
And yeah, next year is going to be phenomenal. I mean, we feel so robbed about this year and what could have been, what should have been. And but it's great to see the boys doing well at the combine. And yeah, there's going to be some amazing tributes to Coach. He changed the fortune and fate of so many people's lives and improved it. And his obituary was tremendous to reread again today.
Sully, talk a little bit about give us a Smagala story about Holtz.
So, Coach Faust, who was a great guy, we used to actually share training table until Coach Holtz got there. He changed it right away, and I understand. But we used to share training table for hockey with basketball and football, and they had unlimited steak and shrimp just for them 3 nights a week. So all our buddies who played, what they would do is they'd go up, they'd get it, they'd throw it in the microwave and go back for another one, but we picked up the microwave one. And then Coach Faust would come around and ask us where we were from, how we were doing. Our freshman year was going, which obviously, you know, he cared. He had a heart as big as South Bend, but, you know, he didn't have time to be doing that really. But Coach Holtz come in, immediately changed the tenor of everything there. But when he recruited Stan, Stan was already recruited. He was a Faust recruit, and he had Stan and his parents come in, and he sat them down, and he's right off the bat. He says, "Mr. Smagala, I'm sure Stan's a fine young man. I've heard good things about him, but I'm going to be honest. If I had the option, I would not give him a scholarship, but the university is making me honor it. You know, Father Joyce, Father Hesberg, that's their rules." So Stan's father went back to junior college, tough Polish insurance salesman. He was in junior college and in either silver mittens or gold glove boxing. He played football and baseball in junior college in his 40s. Stan couldn't outrun him until Stan was at either like junior, senior in high school or freshman ND. He was that good an athlete. You know, he had great genes. He could jump, I think, 41 inches, and he could fly. But Stan's father gets up and lunges across the table. Stan grabs him and is like, "Dad, sit down, whatever." So time passes, they break, and first day of practice, spring practice, he has Stan come in the office, Holt did, and he called his parents, and he said, "I'm sitting here with Stan. I just want to tell you, I apologize. I've almost never been more wrong in my life. And if he listens to me and keeps working hard, your son's going to play on Sundays." So we always laughed about that, and he was right. And to follow up, the Raiders took Stan in the 5th round. Draft day, Jimmy Johnson immediately traded for him same day for Dallas. And Holtz always had a commitment with the players, you know, trust, love, commitment. You're here for 40 plus, not for 4, that they would graduate, even if they had to take time off to prep for the combine or whatever. Well, Stan wasn't the most dedicated student naturally. He applied himself when he had to, but he wasn't as academically motivated maybe as some of his teammates like Reggie Ho, that was a Kavanaugh fellow hallmate, or Pat Terrell, who was his roommate the next year. who ended up being a pilot for 10 years after the NFL, and they're in business together. They've both done very well, just super guys. So Stan was ducking Coach Holtz's calls, as sometimes the guys would do. And Coach Johnson takes him off the practice field with Dallas, and he says, Stan, you're not practicing again till you call Coach Holtz. I can't have him keep calling me about you like this. So he goes, okay. So he goes, no, now. So he had him call from his office. And Stan was like, Coach, sorry for dodging you. Appreciate everything. And yes, I'm going to re-enroll and get my last semester done,
That's
so
awesome.
Colts cared about us, everyone on the field, off the field, people's families, how they were doing and people's futures. And just an amazing, amazing legend.
Yep.
Awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
Sully just told me that story, exactly the same story on Super Bowl Sunday morning.
Doesn't surprise me.
Right, we were talking about it.
That's awesome.
Talking about the changes. My freshman year was Faust as well, who turns out to be a great high school coach. He did what he could in college, but hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
He so one of my favorite stories we heard when Lou came in, Jerry Faust was kind of hands off. He used to coach from the bridge, the little walkway stair thing, and he'd stand on top. So when Coach Holtz got there, I guess he did it a couple times, didn't like it, and he was watching an offensive play being run, and he didn't like the way it was being run. He comes down off the bridge, and he goes in the huddle, and he runs the wide receiver's route.
Oh.
He catches the ball. He gets the ball, drops it down. He comes back to the huddle. Everybody's high fiving him. I thought that was just the coolest thing. After a couple of years of yelling out of a bullhorn, here you got the guy. He makes the catch. Everybody's high fiving him. I just always thought that was cool.
That's an awesome story. And that doesn't surprise me one bit, actually. I mean, he was tough as nails for sure. And I think to Sully's point, one of the things that Sully said that I tell everybody this, just look at the kind of people that come from Notre Dame. I mean, you got guys like you two good guys out here. You got, a friggin' Supreme Court justice, all these guys that are just really doing great things in life. But there was something about
U.S. Army General.
I mean, there's something about these guys, though, that Coach Holtz coached that just was different. I mean, you talk to any of them, they're the most down-to-earth, humble human beings, even from a national championship winning quarterback to a Hall of Famer and Todd Light. I mean, it's that just goes to show you the kind of mentor and role model and coach on and off the field that Holtz was. He's the last of a dying breed, man. You just don't get that anymore.
And down to earth, I got another story I had heard one time. He was playing in I don't know if it was Pebble Beach, but it was a Pro-Am, and he was a reasonably good golfer. He was a big fan. So he ended up playing, I think it was a Pro-Am. I think it was Pebble Beach, I'm not sure. And Lee Trevino was in the group.
Not a bad
so
golfer.
He played. Huh? No, not a bad golfer.
Yeah.
So Coach Holtz was playing, and he was mediocre at best, his own words. He said, we were playing, he said it was a par 4, pretty long. He said, I hit a drive, the best drive of my life. I hit a second shot. He said, I was 8 feet from the hole. 2 best shots I ever hit in my whole life. He said, I get up to the green. I'm nervous as hell. He said, I putted the ball. He said, I put it at about 12 feet past the hole. He said, he looked over to Lee Trevino. He says, got any advice? He says, yeah, keep it low.
Oh, man. That's great. So you were talking about some of the legendary roommates and stuff. You got to tell the Tim Brown story, man.
Timmy was the nicest kid ever. We always say he was a better guy than an athlete. Historically, I'll tell you one from freshman year, sitting in the TV lounge, which was always hilarious to pass by. And so
did Rose get his hit yet?
What's that?
Did Rose get his hit yet?
Awesome. Whenever there was a Cubs game on, because they were always on in the afternoons, was I think it was 88 was when they put the lights in, start playing night games, which was a huge, people were very controversial then. But Ace and I would walk by the room, no matter what game was on they were playing, and say, hey, did Rose get his hit yet? And because he was chasing Ty Cobb for the, what was it, 41-21 or 42-19? Ace, you know better than me, brother.
41-92, I think it was.
40, there you go, 41-92. So we would do that for the next 4 years or 7 years. We'd be walking by and just throw that out. And half the time was Sunday nights when the kids were watching Star Trek religiously. And some of them, I think, wanted to throw some haymakers at us after a while. But we got a big kick out of it, right, Ace?
Well, for those of you that don't know
Absolutely.
for those of you guys that don't know Sully, Marco Sullivan here. So he played hockey at Notre Dame, but he is, quite frankly, probably the best storyteller I've ever been around in my life. I got the pleasure of driving back from South Bend to Chicago with this guy, and legitimately, Sully, I still have fond memories of that drive, just because we talked about everything from Notre Dame to freaking favorite foods and everything in between, man. That was just such a great time, and I love hearing your stories.
Thank you. And I was going to mention about Timmy Brown. So one night I'm in there freshman year, and Foles comes in, and I had just met him briefly before. So we're talking for a little bit, and Tim Brown comes in with his girlfriend, and the four of us are watching, and Nightline, Ted Koppel, which was a huge show on back then. He had Jim Campanis, the Dodgers GM, then on. If anyone knows where I'm going with the story, Ace, I'm sure you do. So Koppel starts interviewing Campanis and about Jackie Robinson and legacy and things like that. And that's when he had the infamous quote that minorities or blacks didn't have the necessities to be front office or GMs or whatever. And Koppel did his best. He kept throwing on the lifeline. And I don't know why Campanis, he wasn't malicious whatsoever. He was old school, so he might have been, slipping away a little bit, dementia or whatever. But he couldn't right the ship, and was all over the media the next day. He ended up getting fired by the Dodgers that next day, which was terrible. But I remember Timmy was just shaking his head, laughing. He was like, "Oh my God, brother! Bring it back, because he knew obviously he was gonna be in trouble. But I remember that, and then also Timmy lived on the 4th floor his senior year. And you talk about a shrine of anywhere. There must have been 3 to 5 dozen articles of posters, Sports Illustrated covers. He was on the cover that year. Helmets, mini helmets, footballs, mini footballs, this, that, and the other. Half the bookstore was over there, and he would get to it all. And I remember one time we went up because we might have been going home for break or something, and he always had the door open too, and he was just sitting and watching TV. It was his girlfriend. We're like, "Oh, Tim, oh shit, sorry." He's just, just that, and they were just hanging out. It was nothing. But we were like, it's all good. We'll come back or whatever. And he chased us down we started leaving. We didn't want to bug him. And he chased us down to the 1st floor, and he signed about, a dozen things for us. He was laughing. He goes, "You guys can come by 24/7. It's all good. We're all Kavanaugh, we're all cavemen." Which was the moniker of our dorm, and just a sweetheart of a guy. So great time.
Awesome. Love that stuff.
Hey, who lived there? Was Reggie Ho, Billy Hacker was in there when they wanted Juan Francisco,
Mark
DJ
Green.
Mark Green and Corny
Mark Green.
Southall were freshmen my year.
Yep.
Our freshman year. And who else come in then? Stan and Foles come in the next year. And it's funny who comes in there. By senior year, the Cubs manager, who scored the winning run in 2 World Series, Craig Counsell, he was a freshman that year. We had a couple of wrestlers, and we also had the youngest graduate ever in the university. I think he still holds the record. He was a 12-year-old freshman prodigy. His parents were both PhDs.
Wow.
NJ, Narciso Jaramillo, we're still buddies on LinkedIn, but he was 16 when he graduated, and initially he started typing for the dorm, but he was so proficient at that, there was smoke coming off the typewriter. So he started typing, and I was tutoring a bunch of kids on the football team, starting out with some of the roommates and all that. I also needed tutoring, so I got that too. The athletic department was sensational to us. But he started typing for guys in the dorm, their girlfriends, guys on our team, guys in the football team. By the time senior week or finals week would roll around, the kid was doing 24/7 in addition to his own books, which he was half a genius anyway. He's a professor, I think, out at Berkeley now or somewhere.
Wow.
He's amazing.
He typed the paper for me.
Yes, he typed. He would charge $1 a page, and which was it might have been expensive back then, but he was sure worth it, wasn't he, Ace?
And it was before computers. He did it on a typewriter, if I'm not mistaken.
Goodness. 12 years old. That's insane.
So he was 16 when he graduated. Yeah, and sweetest kid, nicest kid, awesome kid.
So speaking of Foles, not to go down too far down a rabbit hole here, but we got to remember, got to keep Foles in our prayers too. You know, his son Nick's taking care of him right now, but he's going through it a little bit too. So keep Foles in your prayers as well.
Amen. That was Holt's top recruit that year, and Holtz told a great story about he was driving with Vinny Serrato, the legendary recruiter, and they got there very, very late, and they thought they blew it. Holtz was so upset, and Holtz was so caring and everything that Foles' family were like, "That's where you're going," and that was his dream to go there. And I'll never forget. Foles always says the best feeling he ever had in a football game was the Cotton Bowl, blocker for Timmy Brown in Timmy's hometown down there. And he got hit so hard on a goal line stand or something that he couldn't feel any pain the rest of the game. And unfortunately, it was his undoing ultimately for football, where he had to retire. And I remember Father Joyce told him, we're going to honor your commitment and your scholarship and everything. Of course, John, we want the best for you. And God has a plan for you, and was really good to him. The other kid who's number 2 to the NBA, Silver, Byron Spruell, was a great influence on Foley. He was a senior as a freshman, and told him, I don't care if you were a Prop 48 or if you're getting a lot of, notoriety in the media and people being a little malicious. He said, you're a Notre Dame or a Domer like the rest of us, and you belong here. And Foles never has forgot that. But Foles went in to tell Coach Holtz he had to leave school. And Coach was like, well, John, you can't play anymore, but you're on scholarship, till you graduate, and we love you, and can't, you've done so much for us, and I'm so sad that you can't. And Holtz actually, on his recruiting trip, he told Foley's family, and again, Foley's father was a very proud guy. He almost wanted to fight Holtz too. He said, unfortunately, John's not going to play on Sundays. Everyone says he is his best player in the country. And they're like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, he goes 100%. I've never seen anyone like it. He has no stop. He has no slowdown button. 100%. He goes, he's going to get hurt before he's done playing. So he needs his Notre Dame degree. And I think Foles is going to go anyway, but that sealed the deal that I put in his mind that it was the 40 plus and not the 4. So when he told Holtz he was leaving school, Holtz figured it out with them, and they called his dad, and they said, Mr. Foley, John's not John's not a welfare case or anything. John's part of our program. I have a job for him. He's going to recruit the best players in the country like he is. And back then, if you go back to the films, Foley would have one of those shoebox type bricks to cell phones, so primitive back in 87, 88. And he would be calling the top players in the country and the quarterbacks especially. And he'd be saying, say there were 30 seconds between plays. What are you going to run here? What would you run? And then they'd give him a read, and then he'd say, we're going to run this, and then hang up, call the next guy. And I know I've met some of the ND legends that have played in the NFL that says Foley's the reason they went to ND in large part as a recruiter. So He certainly earned that scholarship and was a big part of Holtz playing in 9 straight ND-led teams, 9 straight New Year's Day bowls back when that meant something.
Yeah. No, that's an awesome story. Yeah, Foles is a legend, man. And it's too bad that more people don't know about him and his story and his career. So I hope that we can continue to bring guys like that out of the woodworks. Because when you think of the 88 team, you think of the Tony Rice and Rocket Man and all these guys. But Foles gets lost in the shuffle, but he was doing the dirty work. So,
hey, one other thing about Foles, too, God bless him in that vein. Foles was the one, unfortunately, for another Kavanaugh teammate who kicked the 45-yarder, our buddy Billy Hackett, to start the Fiesta Bowl national title game. Foles was the one who saw Reggie Ho kicking for the dorm team and was like, Reggie, you got to try out. You got to try out. And then when Holtz had a campus-wide tryout, when some of the boys weren't kicking as well as he thought they should, Foles' encouragement led to Reggie trying out and making the team. And we'll never forget that first night when they beat Michigan. Reggie kicked 4 field goals and went straight to the library after. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Didn't know he went to the library after that.
Yes, he did. He was a pre-med, and he's a premier. He's a high-end cardiologist down in Philly now. They actually did a pretty good ESPN 30 for 30 short on
That's right. They did. That's true. I'm going to find that.
I would have been looking at the co-eds and that all-you-can-eat steak and shrimp after that.
Another story about Coach Holtz I thought it was interesting. Back in '93, before we played the Seaman Holes, in the game of the century. He called Jimmy Johnson, which was shocking given our relationship with them,
Yep.
and asked him, how would you play Florida State? You play them every year. What can you help me out with? And Jimmy Johnson obviously was astounded on the other side, thinking, you got to be kidding me. I hate you guys. I'm going to help you. But Holtz with a straight face. What would you do? How'd you help us? And I guess Johnson was amenable to it. I guess he gave him some advice. We won, so.
Yeah.
Come
and
on,
I
I
always
never
thought
heard
that was
that.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
enemy
I mean, I
of your
could be
enemy is your friend, right, Ace?
That's right.
Apparently so.
Yeah,
But can you imagine Jimmy Johnson picking up the phone and not having somebody like when
I'm a
remember we
little
played him in-
salty that you brought up the '93 season though, because as much as I love Lou, that was I before all of this happened, and we obviously are all engaged in Notre Dame football, and we talk about Newt and Era. And by the way, today's Newt Rockney's birthday. So
Yep.
Yeah,
somebody
130 years ago.
somebody on X said that it's a kind of Irish poetry that
Wow.
Lou
I
died
like
on
that.
Rockney's birthday. So when you talk about Rockney and Leahy and Era especially, and then Lou, I feel like Lou left a couple on the table. Like 93, obviously, that Boston College loss stung all of us at our age because we all fucking saw
God
that.
bless America. You didn't live in
Mass
Boston.
hole.
That was the worst.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. And then, Colorado, that one was officialated, I would say, but God, I feel like 89, 90, and 93 all had a shot at winning another natty, and we just couldn't quite maintain that what we needed to get there. And I remember in 93, I think as much as I love Coach Holtz, and I don't know that I've ever been more disappointed in a team's lack of being prepared coming off. I get it. Like 90, that Florida State game, remember after that happened, ESPN was on there calling it the game of the century, and that emotional high is just a lot to overcome. But apparently head to head didn't matter back then like it did this year with the playoffs. So
It's crazy. You know what's amazing you say that too is the year before, the BC students, about 20 of them, we were at the pep rally. They acted up and disrupted to the point where Holtz lectured them, raved about it, and said, vengeance is ours tomorrow. We're not taking our foot off the gas. And that was Indy scored six of the first seven possessions, and that was the fake punt with Craig Hentrick too. That was very controversial, and it was also we were there on set, as we said, because they filmed Rudy at halftime of that game, the sack and the carrying off the field. So,
yeah, right.
Wow. Good stories. Good stories.
Ace, one other thing, Jace, if I might ask Ace about this. I didn't know college football. I coming from the East Coast, BC as we call it, it's backup college, FC, Flutie College, right? As we like to take shots at our
my boss is a
very good
BC.
institution.
My boss is a BC alum, by the way.
Oh yeah, and I'll never forget being on the bus. We were playing Kent State my junior year in hockey, and ND was losing to BC at halftime in '87. And I was like, oh, my goodness, this can't be happening. God bless Mark Green, our dorm mate and section mate, ended up 2 touchdowns in the second half. We ended up winning like 32-25. So that would have been tough to live down. And, that was brutal after that other one. But, Ace, I remember seeing out in the parking lot, tailgating freshman year, people had like ND's next coach, and they had odds just on a sign. Someone had it their tailgater, and they had Holtz there, and I didn't really know who he was, but you were locked in with all that. What do you recall about that when they were kicking around who it was going to be, or how that came to be by December that year?
Well, for the record, let's start. Jerry Faust wasn't fired. He was hired for a 5-year contract. The contract that he finished it, he was let go.
I love
So
it.
he didn't get fired. Holtz,
Yeah, they didn't renew. That was the big thing. Yep.
right. He didn't get fired. They
I
honored
was
the contract.
6 years
He honored the
old when
contract
that
and moved
happened,
on.
by the way. I was 6 years old.
We were sitting in
I
the
remember
lunchroom.
his last year. That's the only
Yeah,
year I
signing
remember
ball.
about.
But Holtz, well, he had bounced around. He had been in Minnesota. He had been in North Carolina State, I believe, before that. And he
William and Mary.
William and Mary, right? Originally,
He said he had
what
too
was-
few Williams and too many Marys on that team.
That was the Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden quote when Lou approached him about running up the score. Recruit more Williams and not as many Marys. I remember reading that.
Holtz had what was commonly referred to back then, which sadly isn't the case anymore, the Notre Dame clause in his contract with Minnesota. It was his lifelong dream to coach at Notre Dame. And we asked, and he said, hell yeah. And again, something else he said, a 90-pound weakling with a lisp from East Liverpool, Ohio, I believe.
West
This
Virginia.
is my dream come true.
Yeah.
And so, but that's, he had wanted, and he had experience, obviously, with, NC State. They weren't great, but it was a name and a decent conference. What's that like being in a conference? That must suck.
Yeah, seriously. We'll never know as fans.
Ace, was part of that clause with Minnesota that he had to get them to a bowl also?
I don't know that part. That could very well be.
You know who the last two big name coaches to have that Notre Dame clause in their contract were? One of them.
I was hoping it was Urban Meyer.
Yep, Urban Meyer was one.
Wow.
And there's another one still coaching. Just moved this year to a new school. Matt Campbell had that clause also.
Really? I would have hoped it was Barry Alvarez, but that also crapped out.
What was I going to say? I was going to tell you guys something funny. But
hey, Jason, I was saying the other day, we were talking about how great boxing was in the 80s, especially the middleweights were just all killers with Leonard and Hearns and Duran and our boy from Brockton, Mass, like Marciano, Marvin Hagler. And one of the
I just watched an old Cheers episode the other day, and he got tickets to a Marvin Hagler fight.
Hagler. Go.
Awesome.
Sugar Ray Robinson and Marvin Hagler.
One of the worst nights of my ND experience is one of the coaches had it was at least 40, it might have been 60-something players over the house, had a little get-together for the Hagler-Leonard fight. And they wanted a fight for about 5 years, and Leonard wouldn't fight him. He was so shrewd and had such good management. He wouldn't do it until until Hagler checked off on about 5 demands, and one of them was a huge ring, biggest gloves possible, all that. And he would just run for 2.5 minutes, throw a few jabs. And I remember there was only 1 or 2 other Hagler fans there, including the late, great Teddy Haley, who was a lineman from Boston who passed about 8 years ago. Was a great guy, was a champion for Holtz in '88. And he had got thrown. I remember one day Teddy Haley was upset early on his freshman year. He's like, oh, geez, I thought I had shot playing for the Patriots NFL, but I got to start hitting the books. I was like, what do you mean? He said, oh, Wally Klein just threw me around in practice like I did to guys last year in high school, and I got to hit the books. I'm not going to play on Sundays. Klein was 6'9", like 272 then. I think he was the first or early second-round pick, and he ended up playing for the Patriots, among others. But, another great transitional member of the Holtz crew. And I know Spruell and Tim Brown both got national title rings from Holtz in gratitude for how they changed the culture over the course of his time there and their legacy. I don't recall who else did. It might have been maybe Kovaleski, who was also a great fighting Irish.
I did not know
you guys
that.
Remember, we're all old enough. So, nowadays we have access to recruiting and staff changes. It's all at our fingertips, right? Like I even filled Jason in on here's our recruiting happening as I hear them coming. And back then you had to go buy Sporting News and things like that to find out what was going on. And then ESPN became the worldwide leader. You guys remember when Lou went on, or when they broke the resignation story, and he said he really couldn't say why, he just thought it was the right thing to do. I, as young as I was back then, and I don't know that I was young, I think I was 15. God, I was devastated when he signed with South Carolina after that. Why would you leave Notre Dame following that run and then decide, I'm going to come back and go to South Carolina? And that's why I never liked South Carolina. So the opposite of what you said earlier about cheering for South Carolina, he literally didn't really give a reason for resigning. from Notre Dame, and then signed with South Carolina, 2 or 3 years later. And I was just, and then we all know what happened after that. We lived through the Davy Willingham, George O'Leary bullshit for years and years and years. And these new fans that are like, oh, well, we never got to see a natty. You didn't have to live through Davy and Willingham and Charlie Weiss either. So, you take the good with the bad.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Jace, I got another
Yes.
one for you. The year after we won the national title, big night game, USC came to ND. I think we won 28-24, if that serves me correctly. And it was funny. I had ended up coaching who ended up being a godson at baseball camp of the Red Sox legend, unfortunately more known for the White Sox, I think, other than the home run in '75, was Pudge Fisk. And he loved ND, lived out in Illinois, so he brought a crew from his family and friends out to go to that game. And we ended up, getting him in the locker room after the game. It was the first time I was in there post-game. I was lucky enough to be there pre-game a couple times. And also there that night, and they knew each other because of being from that area, was George Wendt, who we lost in the last year or so, Norm from Cheers. And they both went in the locker room. The guys were absolutely starstruck seeing both of them, especially so many of the Midwestern Chicago kids love the White Sox and love Fisk. So I remember they went in and saw Coach Holtz because they knew him from the rubber chicken circuit and all that, and they were big fans. And Fisk was just so bouncing around, so happy. And Zorro had a monster game because that's what Zorro did back then, and came up to him and all but, hugged Fisk and almost knocked him down. He was like, oh, Mr. Fisk, I'm such a huge fan. I was raised a White Sox fan. My mother loved you and just still does. And just, this is such an honor. And Fisk was awesome and was like, Chris, you call me Pudge. You were amazing out there tonight. I haven't been to the stadium before. And just what a night to come and what a tradition with USC and you guys winning and just, this is awesome. So we leave and we're going out to dinner, about 20 of us. And a woman comes up to us, and I had never seen her before. It was like, oh, excuse me. I have to say hi to Mr. Fisk. And just want to say thank you so much. And, it's so great what you do for our White Sox, this and that. And by the way, this is my pin. I'm Chris Zorich's mom. And it was such an era of good feeling. Pudge gave her a huge hug, which she absolutely loved, and said he had just met Zorro 5 minutes earlier and how great it was and everything. And, that's what happens at ND, That's what Holtz brought to ND and took to another level.
It's magic, man. Absolutely magic. Well, I think we're gonna end it here, guys. This was a great time telling some stories. I know there's gonna be a lot to come, a lot of remembrances, a lot of memorials. I'm sure you guys will try to get to if they have some sort of ceremony at Notre Dame. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody jumping on the comments. It's been fun. Sully, always appreciate you. Ace, nice to actually finally see a face with the name. And Ty Lee, let's get ready to tailgate and lose honor all year this year, baby.
Hey, I got the spring game menu right up here. We're working on it, and I'll be there deep. I think I ended up with 26 tickets to the spring game. So
lot more to come on that in the coming weeks. We got some good stuff coming up on the show. Anytime you guys want to join, open line for you fellas. Appreciate you. God bless, and we'll see you guys later. Go Irish.
See you, Jay. Love you, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, guys. Win for Lou.
Thanks, Ace.